Hi, everybody. It's Alex Lane at Lane, Hupp, and Crowley, criminal defense firm. This one I get a lot is, you probably meet a lot of interesting people, have a lot of interesting cases. And, they ask me to tell them, it comes up at dinner parties, what's your most interesting case? The story I always tell is not the most serious case, but it's a case that I think is the most interesting. So many years ago, I had a client that had been out drinking, apparently drank a lot, took a cab home, right? So he gets to his condo, and he had apparently been drinking so much that he couldn't get into his condo with his key. He goes around the condo, climbs in the window, and goes to bed, right? So the next morning, we figure out why his key didn't work, and that was because that wasn't his condo, right? That was the model condo for the condo complex, and he had gone into the model condo, so the realtor shows up at 8 a.m. to open the place up, and there's a guy sleeping in the bed. So the morning of the hearing, when I was going to meet with the prosecutor for the first time, I was going to meet with her in the afternoon, I asked my secretary, I said, hey, would you go out to Barnes & Noble and get me a copy of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? So I get a copy of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I kind of hide the book in a little portfolio so they don't know what I'm reading. I sit down with the prosecutor, and the prosecutor says, well, your client has to plead guilty to criminal trespass. I said, okay, but can I read you something? She said, okay. So I open up the portfolio, and I'm kind of hiding the book, and I just begin cold reading from the first page of the book. Deep in the forest, there lived three bears. And I kind of start reading. After 2 lines, I look back up at the prosecutor, and she's just staring at me like I'm crazy. And not like the good crazy, right? Like he's a little eccentric. Like, this guy might be really crazy. And I said, oh, you're probably wondering what I'm reading from. And I said, well, I'm reading from Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I'd like to just compare the two cases. My client had been drinking, did the right thing, took a cab home. He goes into a condo that he believes is his, and he goes to sleep. Goldilocks, on the other hand, she knows it's not her house. She's not impaired. She knows the house belongs to somebody else. She goes in anyway. And she doesn't just sleep in the bed. She eats the porridge. She breaks a chair, right? She sits in all the chairs. Then she goes to bed. So I just want to ask you, said to the prosecutor, when I get home tonight, do I have to tell my beautiful little daughter that if Goldilocks had done this in your jurisdiction, that Goldilocks would be prosecuted as a criminal and convicted of a criminal offense? And the prosecutor looked at me and said, okay, fine, Alex, you don't have to have that conversation. Your client can have diversion, which means he takes a little class and then the case gets dismissed. So sometimes giving context to something can kind of give a fuller thing, like let's really just break down what the guy did. It was a mistake, it was stupid. But he did take a cab home and his case gets dismissed. And that, I think, is a creative way to look at cases and to really look at what the conduct is and try to explain it a little more fully. That's kind of like my favorite case because it shows really kind of an outside of the box thinking, and it's one that was successful. If you or somebody that you care about is charged with a criminal offense, call a lawyer, call a couple lawyers, and get their impression of the case, talk about it, see how they see it. Alex Lane, Lane, Hupp, and Crowley, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.